Welcome to this artist talk here at Kode Art Museums in Bergen. We're here together with Paul McCarthy, Philip Smith, Lilith Stangenberg, and myself, Petter Snare. I'm the director at Kode at the museum here in Bergen. And we're here to talk about the show we're just opening, Paul McCarthy, Dead and Whole. We are situated next to the Four Walls video projection room, so throughout the conversation you will hear sound bites from the video as we talk to Philip, Paul, and Lilith about the show. Thank you all for being here, and thank you, Paul, for doing the show together with Lilith. It's much appreciated, and it's certainly a big event for any art museum to be able to show this production here at the museum. Philip, you are curating the show. Could you put this show in context of Paul's production and the wider aspect of it?
Yeah, I've said that this show is almost a capsule, kind of a cross-section of many aspects of Paul's production. You know, there's a drawing component, a sculptural component. There's the video projection Four Wall, which is being premiered here in Bergen. And then, of course, the heart of the show for me is the action that's taken place over the last few days that has yet to find a name, that Lilith and Paul have been collaborating on, which I think is, for me, in a way, the kind of the glue that brings the whole thing together. And Paul is an artist who is a visionary artist from the last 50 years in American art. I mean, it transcends national categories, but particularly relevant in the context of America because of his subversive exploration of the tropes of Hollywood, popular culture in general, and also the political scene, which is something that maybe has come more to the fore in the last 5 years than you see a fair amount of in this show. And the way that intersects with his own, what I call his pathological specificity, you know, the contents of his own unconscious. And when those things come together, I think there's a very powerful and, for me, singular vision of the world that expresses itself, you know, regardless, it doesn't discriminate between category of object. There's no, you know, it is, you know, in a way there's a merging of drawing, of sculpture, of performance in Paul's work that I think remains profoundly radical. To this day. And in this show that we have at Bergen, which consists largely of work from the last 5 years, Paul has, I think there's been a kind of a refinement and clarification of both of the mechanisms by which he makes the work and also of some of his thematic concerns as well.
Thank you, Philip. Just for the audience who has not been here yet, so the show is in two parts. We have the show here at Kode 2, where we're sitting now, with the Four Walls video projection. And in Kode 1, we have drawings from the last 3 years and a new sculpture. And yesterday we also had a performance, and that was the first live performance in quite some time.
You mean with like an audience?
Yeah.
Like that? Yeah, probably. You know, I mean, it was a video projection going up, so the question of what was live, I mean, it wasn't like people standing in the room. So it was a way of, I think, isolating ourselves, but yet putting it up there. Right? But you know, over the years, we've made a lot of videotapes, and there's always people around. Yeah. So it's, you know, maybe not like a big audience or something, but the crew is there, right, for the filming, and the actions are, you know, there are scripts, but it's like every time the last few that we've done, they go 2-3 hours, so with hardly a break in them, right? So their film. It's a particular way of filming and a particular way of video recording that it requires the cameraman to move with it and try to find it. So, yeah, that's. But I think I'm really interested in going back to doing performances in front of a group of people. Like I want to do that.
But performance and action is an integral part of your your work as well, because the drawings you're showing is also a part of an action and collaborative process with you, Lilith, and Paul. Can you tell us about how you make the drawings? Or is that?
I mean, I experienced something, or I understand something very new to me till that point when I started making those drawings with Paul. It's different than the shootings because I started my acting on stage, so I spent a lot of time in my life on stage in front of audience, and as well I'm shooting films. But those drawings, they become for me as well something like a stage, because we perform on them. And what I really understand why we made the drawings is that creation is something liquid, like, I don't know, like dreaming. It destroys itself in the second you wake up, or in between a second, within a second. And then there is another part I really think is very interesting about those drawings. It's that creation and destruction goes always together. So it's like in destruction, lays a certain understanding of the momentum, or
Like the energy being released in a way?
yeah, it's a release, but it's also, how do you say that? Like an understanding of being. So destruction means being very present.
It's interesting because I find there's this combination of order and chaos in the drawings, in the I mean, as a product. When I look at it, and I mean, you know, when it's on the wall at the museum in Bergen, I see this very, you know, there's a rigorous sense of composition. There are a lot of formal qualities that I think harken back to the tradition of painting, but then there's also a very radical, for me, a very radical immediacy and physicality. There's a sense of its making. You see the tape where it was held down on the table. You see footprints. You see all the traces of the performance at the same time that you see these classical qualities. That's something I find interesting in your work in general. And I mean, they are sort of made out. They are made on a stage of sorts, on a table,
platform,
which is like a stage in a sense.
Yeah, I think, you know, in the 60s, I would, you know, lay big sheets of plywood down and paint on them. And like maybe an arena of 8 feet by 12 feet, something like that. And I could get on top of them. And it was very physical. And then I would put gasoline on them and light them on fire. So there was a performance element going back to the 60s. And in a lot of ways, at that point, I thought of the painting as a kind of arena, like I would enter an arena. And then over the years, drawing and painting became the performance element in drawing and painting. When I did something like the white line on the wall or on the floor and the black line on the wall, very, very much formal, not formal, but it had a minimal quality to it. It was like an action, but I was just making a line, one line, something like that. But there were the ones where I, you know, dipped a blanket in paint and slapped the walls and the windows. So this idea of action and painting and drawing was always, it's been there for a long time. At some point, there were times when in performances, where I would be in character and I would make a drawing, and Bossy Burger or the pirate ones and sea captains, I would make drawings in character. And then when I started doing the big pirate drawings, I would talk the whole time I was making the drawings, and I did them on a platform. And I would get up on top of the platform, and I was I would say I'm in character, but it's a strange thing to say. I was in some, like I would change my voice while I drew, or I would lay on the drawings or something, and it was a kind of way of sort of breaking down the process of making the drawings. And then when I did White Snow, I made drawings with some of the people I made White Snow with. But I think I think Lilith and I did the first ones in 2019 and 2020 and 2021. And there it really, something then switched. And it's hard for me to sometimes even understand what exactly happens. I just know that the piece of paper goes onto the platform, we roll it out, we tape it, we cut it, and then it starts. And each drawing has its own world in a way, Like it's not the same. Like each drawing just changes, and each drawing starts and ends. And there's only one that's ever been put on the floor. It's still on the floor. Out of, I don't know how many drawings, hundreds that have made, they make it through. They get to the end and they are what they are, and, but, it's a kind of something that the making of the drawings that we do together, I don't know why it works the way it works. And of course you kind of, you're aware all the time, I guess, but time goes by and then I think, wow, there's another one,
So when it's finished, are you aware of what you've done? Are you conscious, or is there kind of a feeling of
it's always this thing of looking at them at the end. At the end, it's always standing and looking at
But do you remember what, or is it like a discharge?
I think sometimes I kind of forget a little about how something got where it got. And sometimes, and it's just, like, sometimes I know what Lilith is doing and sometimes I don't. And it's, I don't know.
I sometimes see them like as doors or entrances or windows into a realm of, or into a space beyond logic, and they kind of, they are beyond good taste and beyond reason. And yeah, for me, making them often, what we try to do is to bring ourselves in a state, in a delirious state or in a trance-like state. So in a state beyond thinking maybe, or no, there's nothing against thinking, but beyond logic. And sometimes I feel it's like hallucinating or daydreaming, like an endless process of daydreaming.
I think daydreaming is pretty good.
Yes, filming as well.
And they're always filmed, and I think now that will change how they're filmed in the future. Right? And there are paintings too, and drawing and painting outside in nature, like where no one is, like, So this thing of doing it outside and doing it on dirt, or where trees are, and I think we're both free to do whatever we want,
But are they made
whatever we think we have to do, and and I think, the subject of, one thing, like sometimes you think these words like trance and delirium, like what is that, right? Like what is a trance? What is a delirium? And there is something that goes on for each one of them that is like a play, and you're kind of lost in a play. And you know.
But in that sense, I guess, I mean, in the sort of artistic raptus, or seems like in a good tradition then of producing, making art in that state, which is something else, but you have that energy which comes to, so obviously through the paper as well, I find, and sort of that combination of the action of it, but also the very strong formal qualities of the drawings is sort of an interesting combination. This brings us over to the sculpture in the middle of the Tornsalen as well, and that changed a bit during the process. Philip, can you talk about the sculpture as well?
We talked originally about a hanging sculpture, where the sculpture that gets hanged is Paul, and we would have hoisted Paul up in the middle of the space, and then with Lilith, the idea of the two of them, so it would be almost like enacting a hanging or a suicide in the middle of the space. That was turned out to be impractical, and so then I think...
Well, I think, you know, we tried doing it in the summer. It's a tough thing to pull off to make it look like you're hanging, because I mean, the only way a body looks like it's hanging is it goes around the neck and comes up the back, and that's what, you know. And we were working on it. I mean, but that's I think, yeah. You know, it started off like we would do a hanging in the gallery, like simple, go out and do it. But we talked about a number of things, and then we tried it. And I think at one point it seemed Lilith had brought up like we should do a performance, you know. And I think even before we gave up on the hanging, I think you said something at one point, I remember. And then when we couldn't do the hanging, it was like, okay, maybe we'll do a performance. And I was waiting to find the location, like find me, what kind of space do you have, and can we film it, and then the bunker or that basement came up, and we were on our way, I guess, you know, like, okay, we're gonna do it, you know. But you were talking about the sculpture, I'm sorry.
But the hanging figures in the Tornsalen at Kode 4 now, they are Adolf and Eva, or they can be however you would like to sort of. Are there a representation there in those sculptures?
Is there what?
A representation.
I think I mean, are they specifically the characters Adolf and Eva, or is that one component of their identity, but it's more open-ended?
Well,
I mean, are we looking at
the characters down in the basement are, you know, it's Adolf and Eva. Mm-hmm. It came from when we shot in 2019. We made a remake of some sort, an abstraction of The Night Porter, which goes back even further into 2015 or something, I guess. And at the end of Night Porter, I think there was a point where we thought, why don't we go straight to Adolf and Eva? And there was this thing where we were going to go do the suicide up in the mountains. And I think then we kind of went back to Max and Lucia, the suicide happens, but we knew now the door was open for Adolf and Eva, that we would do it. And then, of course, who's Adolf and Eva? And, you know, Lilith is from Germany, I'm from the United States, from America. So if I'm Adolf Hitler, I'm an American Adolf Hitler. And, you know, so are we really Adolf Hitler? Or I'm an American Adolf Hitler, what's that? And then being an artist, and Hitler being an artist, and referring to the character as an artist. And I think even during last night, Lilith talks about the people upstairs, I'm a shitty artist, stuff like that. And then for me, Lilith being an actress, and I'm referring to her as an actress. So, you know, multiple things are colliding in this character. And then Adam and Eve, especially when we shot in nature, is you know, in the garden, but it's not the normal notion of what the Garden of Eden is. It's like kind of high desert, you know, pine trees, but very dry in California, right? So, and then at some point, Lilith started talking about Marilyn Monroe, you know, and so I don't know.
Well, another identity that gets thrown in the mix is the Hollywood producer. As you said the other day, there's also a side of Adolf that, you know, or this composite character that brings in Hollywood. He could be a tyrannical director, and Ava is the actress that you're abusing, that you're directing, that you're, you know, and there is this push and pull. So it's not.
You know, there may be, in the Night Porter, I play a producer. Right. It's right there.
But in this later series, that's also sometimes invoked, or kind of it comes back in a way?
I don't know. Do you think? I don't
know. I see more like archetypes of male and female.
Yeah.
Also, we are mother and son, or father and daughter, and for me, we talk about male and female conditioning and relationships in a very patriarchal system. And of course, then we talk about our own conditioning as a male, as a female, about those very, like your subjects, like fear and soul and madness and desire, like very huge human subjects. So it's not just Adolf Hitler and Ava Braun, but it's how is that to be a woman in such a world? How is that to be a man, a son, a mother, whatever? Like.
Yeah, and I think also, you know, it's a love story of some sort, right? Like, I think, and like it's the male and the female together, but even the characters, I'm the father, I'm the son, and the daughter, then the mother, like we're flipping. And then I think also like that scene where we slap each other even, you know, like I think, you know, for me, there was this thing of, if I'm Adolf, I'm a tyrant. If I'm Adolf, I'm a real abuser. And at the same time, I'm a kind of clown, like an impotent clown. But I'm an abuser, and then and often, you know, I think when we shot in the desert, there's a scene we call Picnic, and Adolf is, you know, he's just a stupid clown, and in the end, the Ava character kills him, right? And I think last night was really, we went for quite a while, and there were 2 more scenes that we thought would happen. And 2 more things, and quite violent. And I don't know, it just ended, you know, like it ended in that position. Like I just thought, I don't know, like the position that we ended up against the wall was like, I just felt like it's come to an end. It has its own end. The drawings have their own end, You don't know when they're going to end, you know, just at one point, it's over. And I just felt last night, it's over. And quite beautiful for me at that point, rather than going to where we thought it would go. You know, in a way, it ended there.
It's funny because the intensity towards it was building up at such a pitch, and then it seemed to soften into this kind of tenderness at the end, where they're holding on to each other. And this really, you know, unexpected, I think.
Yeah.
Comes to some kind of a rest, or say it naturally ended at that stage, but
I think it also was a merger. Like the way I've made some drawings of that, but this thing where the couple merges into almost a oneness of some sort. You know, I mean, I kind of felt that at that point.
is it some kind of a defeat of the tyrant in there? I mean,
I think it's often that I really, you know, I don't. The struggle sometimes I have is how am I going to be a tyrant in this one? And it's kind of, we want it to flip back and forth, like.
You mean the times when she's mothering you?
Or the times that she's, you know, fights back, or, you know, I end up on the bottom, and, you know, it in that way, I think it maybe goes out of character. I don't know, you know, but it's not to maintain the tyrant the whole time, or the, you know, like, and in that way, I think it's a funny way. I think that they're an equal in there. There's an equal that I think we want. You know, I think we want the equal play of power and submissiveness, and, you know, like, which is, I still, you know, like I change my voice and get really like a crazy, fucked up tyrant, you know, but it's a caricature, you know.
But no, this is a part of a narrative and an ongoing story. At least it feels like that for me. And what will be the next chapter of this narrative or story, do you think, Lilith?
With him, it's a never-ending story, because I feel this film will never end. And he's already planning to shoot for 4 weeks or even longer in summer, like a whole A&E movie. And then we are planning to do 2 shows, like live shows, maybe a little bit as we did it yesterday for the first time, next summer too, in Europe, in Vienna and in Hamburg. And yes, for me actually, because it's true what Paul said, that there is sometimes a little audience, and there is of course the crew and camera people who observing what we do. But for me, it's the first time, what happened yesterday, that there is such an echo. So it's also a very tough and dark process we have. Like, we are very lonely in all of those performances. And for me, it was fun to realize that people can understand and see that.
Yeah.
And it's not just we as 2 idiots doing whatever, but there is a truth in it.
I think for the audience, we were watching you, there was a special kind of energy, even though you were watching it on the screen, referencing sort of the film as well, but also knowing that this happens downstairs from where you are. That brings, at least for us who were there watching it, making it very, very special, seeing you as distant, but still so close, though. But Philip, can you talk about the relation between the performance a bit and the video or the film screening we're doing back here in the four walls?
No, the Four Wall, which is being premiered here in Bergen, is, I mean, it's a video, but it's an installation. I think the structure is important. It has this, it's actually beautifully constructed, very precise, but it also has this slightly provisional feeling. It's something that's set up for the occasion, and I think you could see this in, you know, relation to a studio set in Hollywood, or even to, you know, the houses of, you know, it has a feeling that is, I think, makes it a little bit more ephemeral. And the video itself is, I guess, more specific to recent American political history. The lead character, President Donald Duck, who's Donald Trump, and the coterie and family are trapped in this stagecoach. The stagecoach is a subgenre of the Hollywood Western, when people are trapped in a stagecoach traveling somewhere and the weather is bad, or they can't get where they're going, or the Indians are coming. And, you know, so it becomes this another kind of arena for all of these unconscious impulses and fears to be acted out. And it starts at a pretty high level of intensity, and in a strange way, it's a similar, you could say it's a similar kind of trajectory to the performance, where there is this sort of, you know, crescendo of violence and a progression of untrammeled sexuality. The characters become drunker, they're acting out more and more. The part of the transgression is that this is, you know, a depiction of the former president of the United States. But again, as with all of Paul's characters, he is and isn't Donald Trump, or he is and is, you know, it's not meant to be so one-to-one. But I think I mean, for me, I find it interesting that this, I think we're living in a time where the performative aspect of things, you know, whether it's in politics or just in everyday life, is becoming more and more salient. And that gives this kind of work particular relevance.
Even though we're talking about the politics and that aspect of the works, I mean, the work is both the drawings and also the four walls. They're quite massive and fantastic aesthetic objects as well. It has those quality to it, and the four walls, which is then 10 by 10 meters, big screening. So you get that sort of massive feeling of entering into something that you can't somehow escape, and it's getting so massive that at some stage you just have to sort of give up all resistance and sort of find the humor in it, the beauty in it, and it has that quality to it as well.
It's overwhelming. I mean, it's an immersive experience. You're completely immersed in this environment, and it's almost like a synesthetic attack because you're feeling the sound, not just hearing it. And there's a relentlessness to it that I think is, that I find quite hypnotic, actually. I mean, one of the interesting things that Paul decided to do with the drawing display in Kode 4 is to include an audio recording of one of the drawing sessions. And this, I think, is, I mean, it's a very interesting device because, you know, it makes it, I wouldn't say it makes it come alive because the drawings are already alive, but it makes you aware of that, of you know, the performance out of which they were made. But at the same time, I find it almost lulling. There's like a hypnotic quality as you listen to Lilith and Paul performing in character, or in and out of character, maybe is a better way of saying it. That does change the way you look at the drawings, I think, as you move around the room. And it makes you aware of it as a total space, too. So it links it, I think, to the four wall in Kode 2.
It's, you know, the thing about four wall is it's a film, it's a video. DADDA, which is the Donald and Daisy Duck adventure, or it's a Dada, it's a paraphrasing of Dada, but it has three parts. They're in the stagecoach, and that's kind of what you see in Four Walls. Then they go to the way station, and then they go to the saloon. But prior to that, I'd made one that was called CSSSC, which is coach, stage, coach. And in that, they are in a stagecoach, but in Dada, there's a green screen behind them. So the coach sits right on the ground in a sound stage, with a green screen around them. And that's in DAD. In CS, we shot it up where we shoot films in the Sierras, and there we're in a real stagecoach being pulled by a truck or pulled by horses going in a giant circle. And CS, it's Ronald Reagan, like a play on Oldenburg and Hannah Wilke, and Nancy Reagan, and two young, like innocent characters, Adam and Eve, and then two other characters, Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. So you have Ronald Reagan, Nancy Reagan, Jesus Christ, Mary Magdalene, and Adam and Eve in a stagecoach. And they go to a way station, and they leave the way station. When they leave the way station, they're attacked by a group of men and killed. So we had shot all that, and then Trump is running for office, becomes president, and immediately I realized I was going to shoot CS and the characters in a saloon, and I thought, I just start over again. So now it's Donald Trump and Melania and Ivanka and Andy Warhol and Nancy Reagan in the coach. So then we shoot in the stagecoach with a green screen, then we go to a way station, and then we built a saloon, and the saloon is a fairly accurate representation of the saloon in Fassbinder's Whitey, you know, and which is about, I think the film, it references America and American racism and spaghetti westerns and all this, right? And I love the film. But so this trajectory of projects or films went on for, I don't know, a few years. And we've edited parts of it, but we think there's something like 150 terabytes or something. And I see it as a series at some point. The same with NB and AE. And I didn't plan it going like that. It went like that. And then it's like a trunk of a tree that will happen. And then Four-Wall, the one that's here, is just an offshoot. Like a thought happened. Why not make a box and project, right? So it's an offshoot of the main project, right? And you know, a technical nightmare, actually, you know, to try and figure out. But, you know, and I think there is something hypnotic about it. You know, I think that it's 3 hours, and there is a narrative of some sort. It starts and it ends. You know, there's an ending, so you can sit and watch it all the way through for 3 hours, right? So what was really interesting to me about the show, is there was Four-Wall, which came quite quick. And then there was this other room, and it was there for a while, then went away. We didn't have it for a while. But I think it's interesting that both rooms are very similar in size, the two rooms. And then in Four-Wall, you have a structure in the middle that you look at all the way around. And the audience sort of becomes the center of that. Like they're in the center. So you can sort of diagram it as a room with a room inside with a center point. Yeah. And then when the drawing thing happened, you had the drawings all the way around, and the center point of the sculpture, this kind of thing. And what I think was interesting to me when the show was being hung and we'd turn on the sound and I would look at the drawings, the sound would be coming from the center, from the middle, to my back. So as I went around, the sound was back there, right? And so they both exist in very similar situations, right? And yeah, so I like the fact that they're dualities. It's like a diptych. I think the two shows to me are a diptych. You know, and when Lilith and I when we did Night Porter, we made a giant set, you know, like huge set that we filmed in. And it was like being in something you couldn't get out. It's a maze, right? The set itself is a maze. It's called the maze. It's like, I don't know how many rooms, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, 20 rooms? I don't know, halls? I don't know. And it contains a representation of Max's apartment in the Night Porter, like a fairly good representation. It contains the hotel room, the Marriott hotel room that Lilith stayed in when she came to LA the first time. And then a series of bathrooms that coming from Max's apartment. And then a room like at the end, which is a set from a Warren Beatty movie that was the Beverly Hills Hotel. And so it's like a giant thing that you're inside. And when we did AE, it was different. We were in nature. We weren't trapped the same. We were trapped in our own world, maybe, but you know, we kind of entered a space and stayed there, I think. No, we moved around too, but it was a different thing, you know. Like in here, we were back in a maze, you know.
Yeah. And trapped in a fairly small room.
Yeah.
Or rooms downstairs in the basement of Kode 4. Thank you so much for spending time with us and for doing the show, Lilith, Philip, Paul. I really enjoyed talking to you, and again, thank you for making a fantastic show happen here in Bergen. It's much appreciated. Thank you all, and please come visit the show here at Kode 2 and 4 in Bergen. Thank you all.